why would we allow women who identify as men to compete in the women's category? And I can answer this question easily. It's because women would never and will never be able to compete at the same level against the men.
So Miss Riley Gaines, how welcome have you felt to like the conservative space ever since you started speaking out?
I was really nervous when I first took a stand. Naturally, I think we were kind of told we should be nervous. So I was really terrified, but I have been so welcomed. And really, I formed a lot of allies, not even just in the conservative space. There have been several people who would consider themselves lifelong liberals who have said, you know, you're so right. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I totally agree with you. So it's been cool to kind of see how this really does extend beyond party lines, which isn't what you would think if you just watched the news or just saw how politicians were voting. You would think this is super polarizing and divisive, but in reality, I think what I'm advocating for is a unifying issue.
It really is. I feel like this has been one of those issues that's woken people up because it's just blatantly unfair. And you would think that that's kind of common sense, but to some people, it's not.
And that blows my mind because look, what I'm saying, what I've been advocating for is that men are men and women are women and each sex is deserving of equal opportunities. I mean, it's the most basic of truths, right? I'm not sitting out here saying something outlandish. I'm saying each sex deserves equal opportunities on the basis of their sex and you can't change your sex. I mean, it's the most crazy thing. It blows my mind when I think about it, that saying those things has gotten me a platform and notoriety and credibility. I mean, it's utter lunacy. And I think it shows the true state of where we are as a country when we're willing to deny men and women. It's like, oh gosh, we should all be thinking, you know, what's next? What's the next thing they're going to be asking us to lie about?
Have you dealt with a lot of censorship since you started speaking out?
I have, naturally, right? My TikTok, everything gets deleted on there. Of course, Twitter at first, before Elon Musk took over, my Twitter was deleted. That's why I have so many underscores in my name now because my Twitter kept getting deleted, for simply saying there are two sexes. Again, the most crazy thing. So I've certainly dealt with censorship and people trying to quiet you down and even from institutions in my university, the way they responded and getting us to be quiet, trying to get us to be quiet. It's crazy. And that's why people are scared. That's why people our age are scared to take a stand because they see these authority figures and policies and institutions and companies and corporate America and all these places stifling them when they have an organic thought, when they think for themselves, when they know how they feel and what they want to say. That's shut down. Mm-hmm.
So your friend Paula was telling us a little bit about like how a lot of the people on her team, because she was on Lia's team, or I should say Lia invaded Paula's team. Right. A lot of the women on the team secretly did support Paula, but they weren't vocal about it. I'm always curious, what did the people who were on Will's or Lia's original team think? And what did, like, at your school, like some of the men that were at your college who were on the men's swim team, like what did they think of the whole trans issue?
They thought it was lunacy. My husband was a men's swimmer at Kentucky. They're on the same page as we are. I was team captain of my team and we had 40 girls on our team. And so being team captain, I made sure to facilitate the conversation when this all started happening. You know, I didn't want anyone to feel like they couldn't express exactly how they felt in total transparency and honesty. And so what I found in making sure I had this conversation was that 38 of the 40 girls felt the exact same way that I did. Again, just scared to say it publicly because we were told, you know, you won't get a job, you won't get into grad school. And that terrified these girls. But majority of my team, 95% of my team, my coaches, my athletic director, were all supportive of me. And I think having that support from the get-go pretty much is certainly a big part in why I felt comfortable and confident enough to take a stand. Mm-hmm. What Paula and her teammates went through is criminal, I think is the best word for it. It breaks my heart for those girls to feel as if they had to talk in total secrecy and walking on eggshells. Again, it's just crazy.
How often do you hear from current athletes about transgenderism affecting their sports?
All the time. Really? All the time. I get messages daily from female athletes, from coaches, from even parents who don't know what to do. I mean, it's all sports all across the country. Even people will reach out to me telling me, I'm in middle school and there's a boy in my locker room, or, I've had several people reach out and say, I got second and runner-up homecoming queen to a man. I mean, it extends beyond just sports, but that's why I feel so passionately about defending it. Because as it continues, there's more girls exploited in locker rooms. There's more people who have to worry about their safety in their sports, especially physical contact sports, and more people who are losing out, more women who are losing out on opportunities. And so because of the influx of messages I get, it reminds me that what me and Paula went through is by no means unique. And it shuts down the narrative that I hear all the time that, this is a non-issue. It's not really happening. Why are we creating a solution to a problem that doesn't exist? Yeah. That could not be further from the truth.
We'd love to get your general thoughts on my friend's situation. So she recently just got red-pilled. She's a softball coach at a community college, and there's a girl on the team who is transitioning into being a man. So she's been getting testosterone and boosters and hormones and all that kind of stuff, but she doesn't want to be on the men's baseball team because she knows she can't compete. So she has to pick a struggle. It's like, is it the man who wants to be a woman who's considered a woman, or is the woman who wants to become a man taking testosterone and steroids that's considered a woman? What do you think of that?
This is such a good point that people don't think about. I've heard of this happening all over too. There was a girl who reached out to me at an SEC school. On their soccer team, they're allowing a woman who wants to become a man to keep competing with the women. Even at that same national championships where we had Lia Thomas, who is man self-identifying as a woman, at the same championships, we had a female transitioning to a man competing in the women's category at the same meet. We were told we had to go to training to learn how to use she, her pronouns when talking about Lia Thomas and referring to this individual, but using he, him pronouns when talking about Izzy, who now identifies as Isaac. We had to fully treat this person as a man, we were told. It just goes back to, look, if we're really basing this off gender identity, like the NCAA claims, like the IOC claims, then why would we allow women who identify as men to compete in the women's category? And I can answer this question easily. It's because women would never and will never be able to compete at the same level against the men. Looking at Izzy, now Isaac, who swims for Yale, for example, finished top 5 in the country as a woman, which is an incredible achievement for someone who's not taking performance-enhancing drugs. And I don't believe Izzy was at the time. Now she is taking testosterone and is competing with the men. Finishes dead last every single time as top 5 in the country as a woman. I watched one meet of hers this year, and the only male swimmer she beat was a male swimmer with one arm. And I don't say it to be funny. I don't say it to mock. Again, it's factual, real information. Yeah. But it sounds like a South Park episode in real life that we're living through. We have doping policies in place for a reason, and it's because, what do we call Lance Armstrong? We called him a cheater when he cheated and took testosterone. But now suddenly taking testosterone in regards to transgender care is not cheating. It's brave and admirable and inspiring and stunning and whatever other virtuous word they want to use. But no, it's cheating in regards to sports.
Before you started speaking out and you made that decision, I'm going to use my voice and speak against this issue, did you tell anyone or did you just go for it?
I talked to my family. I talked to my coaches. I'll never forget, I called my athletic director at Kentucky. His name is Mitch Barnhart. We had a great relationship. But I loved my university, and I was so scared that I would be painting my university in a bad light. That's what they constantly told us is if you do this, you're not representing yourself, you're representing us, and we've already taken your stance for you. Don't forget you signed a scholarship. And so I was so scared that I would be hurting my school. So I called my athletic director, and I told him, this is what happened. This is how we feel. How do you feel if I take a public stance? And I will never forget, because he said back to me, Riley, I love you. I support you. Speak your heart, stay true to your convictions, and don't worry about painting the university in a bad light. We're behind you. Wow. And that was everything I needed to be able to be confident in taking a stand. And it's so different than what Paula got at her school.
Right.
And I think it shows, she waited a good bit before she spoke out, and understandably so, because she was petrified because that's what their coaches and administration instilled in them. But to have support from my coaches and my teammates and my athletic director, I think the outcome would be a lot different if I didn't have that.
My last question for you, outside of sports, what is something about America or society that you've been waiting to get off of your chest?
Ooh, let's see. Let's talk about the Republican Party here. As a Republican Party, we are imploding on ourselves, and the presidential primary and different things. It's so frustrating to see as a young conservative, and it pushes a lot of us away from the Republican Party, really away from politics in general. Mm-hmm. We need to be drawing younger people in to encouraging them to become politically active, whether that's voting, whether that's in activism, whatever that looks like. We need the younger generation, and I don't think the Republican Party is doing a good job, an effective good job of recruiting young people to the conservative party and principles and ideals. And so I think that's my main frustration. Even in regard to female Republican Party leadership, I've been utterly unimpressed, because we have these women who preach of traditional family values and then are having affairs on their husbands. And we have people in public theaters being groped by men. And it's so frustrating, because I think we need to see more people leading by example rather than by doing what they do for personal advancement or monetary gain. So that's kind of my beef with the Republican Party right now. Stop imploding on ourselves. Stop airing our dirty laundry. What the Democrats do so well is they work in unity. Get it together, because our country is depending on it.
So desperately.
So desperately. So that's my beef.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you.